Biker life has rules nobody writes down. Break them and it won't be a warning, it'll be a consequence. This isn't about riding fast, it's about riding right. Watch to the end because these 8 truths decide who's respected, who's ignored, and who loses everything before they even know what happened.
Number 7. Why bikers park backwards at the curb. It is something most casual riders and passersby notice but rarely understand. A row of motorcycles backed into the curb, perfectly aligned and facing outward, is not a coincidence. It is tradition, safety, and brotherhood all rolled into one. In motorcycle club culture, nothing is done without purpose, and this particular habit reveals more about how seriously riders take their readiness than anything else. Bikers park this way not because it looks sharp, although it certainly does, but because it is the fastest way to leave when trouble shows up uninvited. In emergency situations, whether it is law enforcement pulling into a lot, a rival club arriving unannounced, or violence breaking out, backing into a parking spot means there is no hesitation. The rider throws a leg over, fires up the motor, and is on the road in seconds. In contrast, nosing in means fumbling with turns, repositioning the front wheel, and losing precious time. In the world of patched riders, time is not something they gamble with. Parking backwards is a nonverbal expression of situational awareness, discipline, and readiness to act without delay.
The habit started decades ago, long before it was ever spoken about in videos or forums. In the days when outlaw clubs first rose to prominence, clubhouses and bars were often targets for raids, ambushes, and standoffs. Riders learned that having a clean escape route was not just smart, it was necessary. That lesson became a rule, and that rule became a silent code. To this day, violating it by pulling in forward, especially at an event or known MC spot, can mark a rider as careless or inexperienced. But the meaning runs even deeper. Backing in means your eyes are always on your surroundings. You pull up, scan the environment, and reverse with precision. It is not about vanity, it is about presence. The group that backs in together moves with intent. When lined up curbside and ready to roll, it communicates unity, strength, and preparedness. These are not solo drifters, they are part of something, and that something has rules. You will also notice that seasoned riders do this even when riding alone, in regular parking lots, or at gas stations. It becomes second nature. For some, it is also about protecting their investment. It is easier to monitor a bike from inside a restaurant or bar if it is facing outward. In tight parking scenarios, it prevents mishaps and damage. On wet pavement or sloped ground, a rear-facing angle often gives better stability during dismounts and takeoffs. There is also a matter of pride in that formation. A row of bikes backed in cleanly shows care and respect for the machine, the patch, and the club's image. Sloppy parking reflects sloppy thinking, and that is not how brotherhood operates. It is one of those biker habits that looks simple, but reveals a mountain of unspoken code. If you've ever backed into a curb without even thinking about it, hit that like button. You're already living it. Got your own unwritten rule or road ritual? Drop it in the comments. The patch teaches through experience, but conversation keeps tradition alive. Every story shared keeps the code going for the next generation of riders.
Number 6. The meaning behind a flipped cut. Most people who see a biker with his vest turned inside out have no idea what they are witnessing. To the average passerby, it might look like a strange fashion choice or maybe just a mistake. But in the world of motorcycle clubs, flipping a cut, the vest that carries a rider's club patch and identity is one of the most loaded silent signals you can send. It is not just fabric turned wrong side out, it is a move layered with risk, consequence, and deeper meaning that most outsiders are never meant to understand.
Turning a cut inside out means a rider is either in danger or moving through territory where his club's presence would cause trouble. Instead of advertising who he rides with, the flipped vest says, "In no uncertain terms, I am not here to represent. I am just passing through." It is a sign of submission, not of fear, but of strategic caution. In rival-controlled areas, a visible patch could be seen as a challenge, and challenges often lead to conflict. Flipping the cut may help a lone rider avoid confrontation, but not always. The danger comes from both sides. If the rider's own club did not authorize him to flip his colors, he might be seen as disrespecting the patch. Many clubs have strict rules about when and how colors can be worn. Some outlaw clubs explicitly forbid wearing the vest at all when riding solo through enemy ground. In those cases, flipping it without permission is a violation in itself. That rider might return home and find himself questioned, or worse. In club culture, loyalty to the patch is measured in how far you will go to protect it, and flipping it too quickly could be seen as weakness.
There are, however, situations where a flipped cut is the only smart option. High-profile sit-downs with rival clubs, sudden law enforcement pressure, or emergency detours through enemy-controlled areas sometimes force riders into decisions no one wants to make. In those moments, a club president or road captain might order the cuts turned inside out to avoid recognition. One flipped cut might prevent an arrest. A full group riding with flipped cuts could prevent bloodshed. It is not done lightly, and it is not done often.
It is also worth noting that flipping a cut is not always about enemy territory. Sometimes it is about preserving anonymity. When a rider enters a public space, maybe a courthouse, government building, or even a funeral where drawing attention could bring heat to the club, flipping the vest becomes an act of respect. It shields the club from outside scrutiny. It says, "This moment is not about me or my brothers, it is about something larger." Every patch carries weight, every stitch has meaning, and when that patch is hidden, turned inward against the leather, it is not erased, it is temporarily silenced. That silence is powerful, and in the biker world, silence is often louder than any roar of pipes. Number 5. The truth about rolled-up blankets. To the untrained eye, it looks like a roadside camping accessory. Just a colorful rolled-up blanket strapped to the front forks of a motorcycle. But to those who understand the codes and culture of the motorcycle club world, that blanket is much more than a piece of fabric. It is called a serape, and its presence on a motorcycle tells a story about heritage, survival, and a way of life that refuses to conform. When a rider straps a serape to his bike, he is not just carrying a blanket, he is carrying identity, memory, and pride.
A serape has deep roots in Mexican culture, where it has been used for centuries as a garment, bedroll, and protective cover from the elements. In the biker world, especially among Mexican-American riders and outlaw clubs with Chicano influence, the serape became more than just practical. It became symbolic. It represents grit, resourcefulness, and independence. It is not flashy, and it does not require explanation. Those who know, understand. Those who do not, usually do not ask.
The practical purpose of the serape is straightforward. Bikers who spend long stretches on the road, sometimes riding cross-country, sleeping wherever they stop, avoiding motels and campgrounds, use it as a bedroll. After a long ride, it unrolls in seconds and turns a patch of dirt or concrete into a place to rest. It is lightweight, easy to pack, and offers protection against the cold or rain. In that way, it serves the same purpose today that it did for revolutionaries and horsemen over 100 years ago. But the emotional weight is what gives it meaning. For many riders, the serape is a link to their ancestry. It shows respect for the generations who lived with less and made do with what they had. In a world full of high-dollar touring gear and branded luggage systems, the serape says something else entirely. I carry my home with me. I ride with my roots. It is not just a cultural accessory. It is a statement of defiance against comfort, luxury, and artificial convenience. Some bikers attach it to the front forks. Others roll it tight and strap it under a sissy bar. Some clubs even have informal guidelines about how it should be displayed or when it is appropriate to carry. Over time, the blanket fades, gets torn at the edges, and takes on road dust like a second skin. Unlike chrome that shines or paint that gleams, the serape looks better the more it is used. A rider with a serape on his bike is someone who is not afraid to sleep under the stars, who does not need a destination to feel at home. He rides because it is in his blood, not because it is on his schedule. You have seen what a blanket can say about the road, but what happens when the road rejects you? The next secret strips everything away, right down to the bike itself. Number 4. What really happens when you get put out bad. There is a level of brotherhood in motorcycle clubs that runs deeper than most civilians will ever understand. When a man wears a patch, he does not just represent himself, he represents every rider who came before him, every mile ridden in unity, and every decision made in the name of the club. But what happens when that loyalty is broken? When a brother violates trust, crosses the line, or disrespects the patch, he may not just be shown the door, he may be put out bad. And when that happens, the punishment does not always stop with losing your vest. Getting put out bad is not the same as quitting. It is not retirement. It is the harshest form of separation a club can issue, and it comes with consequences that extend beyond club meetings or clubhouse doors. Depending on the club's traditions and the severity of the offense, being put out bad can mean having your patch stripped from you, your name erased, your rank deleted, and in many cases, your motorcycle taken. Some clubs consider the bike a symbol of the rider's time in the brotherhood. If it was painted in club colors, customized with club funds, or heavily associated with the club's identity, it may be claimed as property. In more extreme scenarios, the club does not just take the motorcycle, they destroy it. Burning, dismantling, or selling the bike becomes part of the message. You do not get to keep what you betrayed. Other times, a club may repossess the motorcycle in front of neighbors, co-workers, or even family. The goal is not humiliation for the sake of it, it is accountability. A rider who breaks the code and tries to slip away clean may learn the hard way that MC culture does not deal in silence. Respect is earned, but when it is lost, the fallout is loud and clear. There are, however, exceptions. Some men are so deeply respected that even when they leave under bad terms, no one comes for their bike. These are the rare cases. Riders who built their machines from the ground up, put in years of loyalty, and held the road with such conviction that taking their bike would spark more conflict than it is worth. In those cases, the patch may be surrendered, but the machine stays with the man.
Still, most riders know the risk. Joining a motorcycle club means understanding the full weight of accountability. When you wear that patch, everything you ride, everything you do, and everything you say reflects on the brotherhood. And if you tarnish that image, the club has the final say in what gets taken back.
For those thinking about riding with a patch, understand this. Loyalty is the lifeblood of the club, and breaking that code comes with a price. In some cases, that price is your machine, your pride, and your identity on the road. Some signs ride loud, others ride quiet. What follows is a detail so subtle, most miss it completely. Yet it has kept more riders safe than any weapon ever has.
Number 3. The secret meaning of a safety pin on a vest. At first glance, it is easy to overlook. A small plain safety pin clipped discreetly near the front of a biker's vest or near a patch might not catch your eye. But in the motorcycle club world, that tiny piece of metal carries a meaning far greater than its size suggests. It is known as a pass-through pin, and when it shows up on a rider's cut, it is speaking a message of respect, caution, and silent diplomacy, without saying a single word.
The pass-through pin was never part of any official dress code or bylaws. It emerged quietly over time, especially among independent riders and nomads who found themselves traveling through territories controlled by larger or more dominant clubs. These riders, often unaffiliated but seasoned, understood that flying solo through unfamiliar regions could raise eyebrows or tensions fast. The safety pin became a subtle way to diffuse that tension. It said, "I am not claiming anything, I am not here for trouble, I am just passing through." In club territory, even the wrong glance can be taken as a sign of disrespect. A solo rider wearing colors that might resemble another group's patch could be mistaken for someone flying false flags. That is a dangerous position to be in. The pass-through pin, placed intentionally and visibly, signals to other riders that the man wearing it understands the rules. He respects territory. He is not pretending to be part of a club he does not belong to, and he is not here to claim ground he has not earned. While the pass-through pin is not a guarantee of safety, it has been known to de-escalate situations before they start. When patched members see it, they recognize the sign. It shows the rider knows the code. It does not hand him a free pass, but it may earn him a second look, a nod, or even safe passage. In a world where respect is everything and misunderstandings can turn violent, that second look can mean everything.
Some clubs acknowledge the pin's meaning directly, others do not, but most old-school riders will know what it stands for. It is not advertised and it is not explained in public. That is part of its power. Riders who wear it do so not because they are afraid, but because they are experienced. They know the difference between standing tall and standing reckless. You will not find the pass-through pin in any merchandise catalog. No dealership sells it as part of an official rider package. It is earned by riding long enough and far enough to know that the road is not always neutral and that sometimes the smallest signal carries the biggest meaning. In a world defined by horsepower, patches, and road loyalty, this tiny safety pin proves that sometimes respect rides in silence. Respect on the road is not just worn, it is spoken. Coming up, a single word misused has stirred more tension than chrome or colors ever could. Number 2. Why you never call a patched biker bro. It seems harmless enough. You walk into a bar, see a group of bikers at the far end, and throw out a casual, "What's up, bro?" Maybe you're being friendly. Maybe you talk like that to your friends, co-workers, or even your own family. But in the motorcycle club world, that one word, bro, can shift the mood in a heartbeat. To civilians, it is just slang. To patched members, it is a title with weight, history, and blood behind it. Calling a patched man bro when you have not earned the right is more than a misstep. It is a violation of a code that few people outside the club world even know exists. In motorcycle clubs, the term brother or bro is sacred. It is not handed out freely, and it is never used lightly. That word represents trust, loyalty, and time in the trenches. It is earned over miles, in meetings, during hard rides, and through shared sacrifice. When one patched member calls another brother, it is not just a greeting, it is a recognition of everything they have been through together. That is why hearing it from a civilian, someone outside the life, can come across as disrespectful, even if the intention is friendly. It is like walking into a military base and calling a colonel buddy, or stepping into a courtroom and addressing the judge by a nickname. It misses the weight of the institution and pretends to be on equal ground when no such ground exists. There have been countless stories of newcomers or curious onlookers trying to talk to patched members like they are just regular guys. Some do not mind, others do. The problem is, you do not know which one you are talking to until it is too late. And in club culture, offending the wrong man can have real consequences. Anything from a cold shoulder to a direct confrontation, depending on the situation and the club's code. Respect is the currency in this world, and one of the best ways to show it is by not assuming familiarity. Some riders will tell you it is not a big deal, others will hold it against you for years. And unless you are part of a club or deeply connected to that world, you have no way of knowing which kind of rider you are talking to. That is why the rule is simple. Do not use the word unless it has been given to you, and even then, use it with respect. If your voice can cost you respect, your actions can cost you everything. What closes out this list is the silent mistake that seasoned riders only make once. Still here? That says something. You're not just curious, you respect the road. Hit subscribe if you want more content that pulls back the curtain on real biker life. No drama, no guesswork. Just the truth about what matters when the patch is on your back and the stakes are higher than most can handle. Number 1. Why you never hang your vest on a chair. To some, it may look like a harmless act. Pulling up a chair at a bar, taking off your vest, and draping it casually over the backrest. But in the world of motorcycle clubs, there are few greater signs of disrespect than hanging your cut like a coat. The vest or cut is not just an article of clothing. It is the flag you fly. It is your history, your loyalty, your brothers, your sweat, your scars. And the chair is no place for something that sacred.
Your cut holds meaning from the very moment you earn it. The day you are patched in, that leather becomes part of you. That is why careless handling of the vest can be seen as careless thinking. If you treat your patch like a jacket, you are saying you do not understand what it represents. In many clubs, this is not just frowned upon, it is grounds for immediate correction. Corrections vary from one club to the next. In some, you might be told to pick it up and fold it properly, along with a verbal warning. In others, you might be handed a push-up penalty on the spot as a show of humility. There are even stories of a brother's cut being taken when he left it hanging unattended just to prove a point. In all cases, the lesson is clear. That vest does not get tossed, dropped, or left behind. Not ever. Think about what the cut endures. It rides through rain, heat, and cold. It sits behind you for every mile, every back road, and every funeral procession. It is with you in fights, in runs, in meetings, and in moments most people will never witness. When you wear it, you are never truly alone. That is why when it comes off, it is handled with the same level of care and discipline as any other piece of sacred gear. If you are not wearing it, you fold it. You carry it. You place it down with purpose and respect. Even inside a clubhouse where you might think it is safe, this rule stands. Brotherhood means accountability, and your actions reflect not only on yourself, but on the men you ride with. One careless move, leaving your vest out, letting it hit the floor, or hanging it on a public chair, can start a chain reaction. And suddenly you are answering for a mistake that could have been avoided with one simple act of discipline. Some old school riders will tell you stories of the first time they messed up. Maybe they were prospects, maybe they were full patch and just let their guard down. But they remember the lesson, because once you have been checked for it, you never forget. The cut is more than stitching and leather. It is a symbol of everything you fought to earn. In the world of true motorcycle clubs, respect is not just shown on the road, it is shown in how you treat what you wear. That is why you never, under any circumstance, hang your vest on a chair. You made it to the end, and that means you're not just watching, you're listening. These aren't trends or tall tales. They're the rules that hold everything together when the chrome fades and the road gets real. If this hit home, hit that subscribe button and ride with us. We break it down raw. No filters, no fluff. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, and keep the respect rolling. Because out here, knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. Stay sharp, stay loyal, and ride true.